and welcome to the Chamber of the Wraith. My name is Brian, and tonight we're going to be talking about the movie star with the iron fist. He's 29, he's lean, he's green, he's mean, and he's in great shape. From Venice, California, Johnny Cage. I just got done listening to his Immortals track from the original Mortal Kombat album that came out in 1994, and I was inspired to do it now, even though I basically just finished my Star Wars marathon, and it is 2:30 in the morning as I record this. I just can't resist. Let's go talk Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage is an interesting character because in some situations, and yes, I'm going with the werewolf Johnny Cage, I was gonna say, in some situations, dang, it's Liu Kang. Sorry, this took so long. That and the check on some augments will probably end up getting cut later. Hopefully I fucking remember to do that, by the way. I also have a video that was supposed to go up at the end of September, so it has the September trimmings, but that never ended up happening. So, my point, finally, looping it all back around, the thing I wanted to talk about with Johnny Cage was that against most of the cast, against the males mainly, he's one of the scariest he used to be one of the scariest sons of bitches to ever deal with on block. You block, he had you. But his big problem was that a lot of his stuff whiffed on females. So some balancing and normalization here or there was all that was really needed. But we didn't get that. We instead, we being Johnny Cage players, which I am not, got nerfs to his plus frames and one of the worst armor breakers in the game. But we're not here for that. We're here to talk about the normals that are not connected to strings. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. I am a little bit sleepy. Think, and then I don't think there is anything here. Anything else, anyway. Yeah, no. All right, let's talk normals that don't go into anything else. Low jab, 7-frame mid, good for sealing your turn back. It's good that he has a 7-frame button, and it's -3, so it's safe. So don't throw this out randomly, but if they do block it, be ready to block so that you can potentially try and take your turn back. Next, we have Axe Kick. This is very odd because this is one of the only normals. There. And the flawless block data does change. But this thing is weird because it's mapped to back 2, but it's a kick, and he's had this thing since MK9. And why is it here? Why is this 14 frame, -14 on block button here? Because Johnny needs a launcher. I guess. Needs a meterless launcher. And they couldn't have figured out which of these kicks to get rid of for it. So I guess take that for what you will. Axe Kick, like I said, is very unsafe, -14 on block or flawless block. So you throw this out in the neutral, you might be in trouble. So if I have to recommend something, if you manage to get a successful jump in, then you can pop it. And then get some decent things going on. But because in the neutral it's not very likely that the opponent's going to get caught by this thing, don't go for it too often. Uppercutter! 9-frame uppercut. Decent range, pretty, definitely better on the vertical than Jackie. And -17 on flawless block, so be careful with that. It's -7 otherwise, with quite a bit of pushback. Low boot is a 9-frame low that is -4 on block, even on flawless block. So it's got decent range. Just throw it out there if you need a quick low to close the round at maybe not start of the match range, but from about here. Fight Dirty is a roundhouse that launches. Nothing to write home about. This is +2 even on flawless block. But remember, if they flawless block, they will always be able to at least get an invincible off. So, this could be... Yeah, since this can cast on to that, you can use it just to get the opponent to be forced back for okay damage. Nothing to write home about. You probably never see this normal. Then we have box office hit. It's his sweep. 13 frames, -9 on flawless block, and -4 as a normal block. Nothing to write home about here. Breaking Bad, which is apparently a pretty good TV show, but I never saw it. It's an 8-frame low. Somehow this is faster than this. Don't ask me how. And it reaches further. So if you need a low poke, this is the one for you, because this can catch from almost start of the round. However, this is -6 instead of -4. So Raijin has the potential to try and punish you if you cornered him. And on flawless block, it's still -6. For short hop attacks, we have Something Punchy and Cool Kick. Something Punchy is 9 frames, looks very stiff, and is -12 on block. But it knocks down and is +38. It's -17 on flawless block, so please be careful if you intend on using this thing as a short hop. Cool Kick is an 11 frame with, I guess, a little more range, and definitely advances a little more. So this is the one that you want for a little more range, but if you're close to the opponent, wallop them with Something Punchy. The thing is that Cool Kick is -17 on flawless block, and -12 on normal block, so it's not safe at all. Finally, we will talk about, I'm in combo attacks here, hold on. Finally, we will talk about these guys, and the thing to note about Johnny Cage's throws is neither of them have crushing blows attached to them, and that is just the beginning of his problems with crushing blows, because, oh Jesus, does this guy have problems with crushing blows. But we'll get there later. First, let's start with this, and that's supposed to be right stick. And then here, just so that I have both options. We're gonna start with Rise and Shine. 9-frame launcher, wake up launcher. Also a flawless block button for that very same reason. For the same reason as all of them. Because your wake up and your flawless block options are the exact same. I wish they had something else going on here. Come on. Why is that not coming out? I swear I've seen people do this. Maybe if it's standing one. Regardless, you can get combos off of it because it's Rise and Shine. But if the opponent blocks it, it's -15. So be wary about that. And then there's Dizzy Knee. A slightly slower, invincible wake up that leaves you at +11 on hit. And -6 on block. So on the border of safe and unsafe. Now let's get back to combo attacks. We have this one, we have this one, we have this one. This one. This one, this one, this one. He's kind of like Sonya in that he has a lot of strings that are basically the same. Okay, our first non-normal based crushing blow. So itchy. Custom, auto, random. Did I miss any of these besides the uppercut? I don't think so. Okay, so post credits. That's 111, and it kind of launches. Really, it's just for special combo enders. Nothing to write home about. It's nothing too crazy. Then there's Fix It in Post, which knocks the opponent back. Post credits is -7, so technically punishable, but Fix It in Post is +1. It was originally, however, +6. Any string that has this kick ender was originally +6. So that Johnny Cage could enforce some serious pressure. But the problem with that is that they were highs. So if the opponent knew that Johnny Cage was likely going to go for this, what they could do if they knew the matchup, which I sure as hell didn't. Let's say we blocked the first 2 hits. First off, it's also a special high, so the first jab is definitely a miss, but I can do this. Wait, huh? Oh, the designation is wrong. I'm willing to bet. Yeah, see, I let go of block, and... Hang on, let's try this. Oh, it's kind of tricky, but... I'm pretty sure you can duck this still. Yeah, you have to position it correctly, though. That's the funny thing. If you have to position it correctly to duck, but for some reason, if you were at the very least a male character, this apparently would still connect, even though it's labeled a high. It's very, very strange. But regardless, I guess that's how that works. Neither of these have flawless block gaps, by the way, so that's something to keep in mind. And then there's bad scripts, which is one of several strings that ends with the multi-kick, which can end with the big boot. But the thing that keeps this handy is that if you do this this string and one of its cousins, you leave him stunning. You leave him standing. So you can enforce your pressure to keep going. But you also, in some variations, could use it to extend combos. So this sort of string is one of the better ones. Then there's the gist of, oh, first, -2, but with considerable pushback. And there's a big flawless block gap there that's -17 on flawless block. I need it to not flawless block. Apparently it does it every time. Hold on. Let's make it not flawless block. There it is. -17 regardless, but still. That's scary if you kind of commit to the whole thing, especially with the big flawless block gap. So you see them block, leave yourself at -2 and just reset the neutral that way, please. And then there's the gist of my fist, which ends in a shoulder tackle. Knocks the opponent back, and there's a flawless block gap that leaves Johnny Cage at -3. But it's the same regardless. I don't think you can special combo to this? No, I don't think so. But you can use it to knock them back. Then there's Sellout, which is one of 2 strings that comes off of 3-4. You would use this one because it allows for special combo canceling and does pretty good damage as well. See what I mean? Look at that, 31% for 1 bar. That's not bad at all. And then you can end it with a low that trips the opponent up, or the plus frame big kick, which again is only +1, whereas the sweep is -11. Then there's kind of a big deal. More damaging version of this string. Comes off of a 14 frame mid though, so you can use this as your punish, or if you make a good read, use this for your damage. Note the damage difference there. And if you want to, and of course, if you finish the string, you get pretty good damage. And of course, you get the same sort of frame data. So it's all in the 4-3, which is -4 on normal block. One of these has to be a flawless block. Go on. There we go. Still -4, so no changes there. Then we have making headlines. comes off the start of the round low, which can also be used to start with 270 damage to give yourself a really good head start. But if you fancy range, you can just end the whole string and then start throwing projectiles if you really wanted to. However, it looks like the string doesn't come out on that last hit and is -7. And is -6 on the kick. So this is one of those ones that you'd have to wait for a hit confirm of some kind if you want to finish it off. Then there's Wingman. Does decent damage, but is not special cancelable. And the forward knee is -9 on flawless block. Stop flawless blocking, please. And so the knee is very unsafe. So it's one of those situations where you actually want to commit to the kick to leave yourself at -5. However, he has the only string that he has that crushing blows is this one, Tearjerker, which does pretty good damage. Problem. Big flawless block gap there. Yes, it's +7 on block, but seriously, what opponent is going to let you get away with a 37 frame high that's -8 on flawless block? I'll tell you, no one who isn't asleep at the wheel, and I'll prove it to you. Okay, so that's the full string ready to go. Watch this. He hops over your opponent if you crouch block. Right, yeah. So you get this. And then he gets 30%, and I even dropped the combo because, of course, I could do. Of course, I could just do this. Look at that, 40% if I do the smart thing and just keep crouching. I don't even have to release block for this. Just crouch blocking, and I'm in trouble. And what do you get for... and how do you get this crushing blow? You have to let the feet hit land first, and that's it. Your opponent has to let you get away with... what is that? Okay, so it's 14, 15, 16, 17 frames. 17 frames plus 37, that's 47. That's 64 frames. Or... yeah, I'm pretty sure that's 64 frames. That's over a second. Your opponent has to have reaction times so slow that I'm pretty sure they'd be legally disavowed from driving, because this is 3 times slower than most people can react to on average. So if they can't react to Tearjerker, they, not to be mean, should not be playing fighting games. That's the way I look at it. At least until they can get their reflexes up to par. They'd be better just to watch and enjoy it as a spectator, because, again, not being mean, or trying my best not to be mean, but if you can't react to something that slow, even with this being the right thing to do, I don't know what to tell you. And I know I say that as somebody who can't react to 30 frame overheads to save my life, but at least I can react to Tearjerker. Now, let's move on to the next thing. Special moves and universal specials. And this is where we get the first, or quasi-universal specials. And this is where we get the first of several, shall we say, interesting crushing blow requirements. But we'll start with the first thing, straight force ball. Decent projectile, hits high. Throw 2 of these out. And here's the thing. These used to be, I think, +4. Or was it +5? It was something like that. These used to be plus on blocks. So what made these really good is that you could not crouch block to get away. Now, because of some of Johnny Cage's hitbox issues, some of these strings, like this string here, see how it's classed as a high? it's technically supposed to be a mid, at least on male characters. But every single female character in the game can neutral duck that. So, and thus leaves them open to a crushing blow punish with an uppercut, or simply a throw, or what have you. The idea was, you get them blocking, and you spend the bar to keep your pressure against female characters. You can't anymore. I reset the neutral, yes, but I reset the neutral. As a Johnny Cage player, I'm no longer plus. I no longer have a turn, which means that any character who blocks this has a chance of potentially stealing my turn through sneaky methods. That was one of the biggest nerfs to Johnny Cage, because now female characters are some of his toughest matchups, period. They always were, but now it's just especially so. Next, we have Nut Punch. It's a 13-frame mid that restands opponents. If you can get them to fall on your fist. Don't think. Yeah, and it lets you reset the neutral, leaves you +4. On hit, it's not bad. On block, however, it's -14. There we go. Regardless. So it's very unsafe if you throw this thing out in the neutral. Use it to end your combos, to keep yourself plus, and to deny your opponent's wake-up options. Because remember, if they wake up, they have an invincible and they have a launcher. And they can roll. And they can delay. So you take away their wake-up options, you keep them where you want them to be. And this does have an amplifier, which, as you can see, launches. So you would do something like this to get Fatal Blow damage for 1 bar. However, if this is here's where it gets interesting. This is the first of several crushing blows that Johnny Cage has that have 2 requirements. The first one is be the first hit of the match. Does a little more damage. Or it has to be a punish, which kind of makes sense. If you manage to slip under a low or under a high, you kind of deserve this. And look at that, I get 30% without having to go for a combo. It's just I punished something, or I started the match with a Nut Punch and then amplified it. And look, I got decent damage out of it. And this is one of the more generous ones, you understand. It's pretty easy to punish someone with a Nut Punch, because if they do something incredibly unsafe, or if they, let's say, go for a tearjerker, and you see it coming and just neutral duck it, you punish it with a Nut Punch and you're good to go. But if you get the first hit of the match at all, that requirement is gone. Just straight up gone. So you have to wait for your punishes to go for a Nut Punch. And then continue on from there. Flippy Kick. This is his armor break. The only armor break Johnny Cage has, which makes sense. Most characters only get one. But here's what you get. You get 241 damage. You get nothing else. You get nothing else. You're +29 on a hit, yes, but look at how late it is before I'm able to do anything. I'm even going to hold up. So now I'm jumping as soon as possible. I cannot land anything on him, on Liu Kang, because he's mere frames away from hitting the ground. Now, that might seem like, oh, okay, well, you're getting damage out of it, right? Resetting to neutral. Well, here's the thing. If I really wanted that, why wouldn't I just do an uppercut? I get more damage, and it's basically just as effective, if not more so, because I'm getting more damage. Or if I'm feeling really cheeky, I could potentially get a Fatal Blow. I would like to try that, actually. I don't know if I can get it with Johnny Cage, though, because it's such a slow Fatal Blow. Yeah, with Johnny Cage, I wouldn't be able to get it because it's so slow. But faster characters, if they have Fatal Blow, they can go for it. But generally, the rule of thumb was pre-armor break that you just go for uppercut, because if you launch somebody and they break away, it's your highest damaging option out of their breakaway. However, you obviously can't fit a normal in every situation. So, on launch, what does Johnny Cage? What did Johnny Cage really have? Shadow kick, minus. Could potentially minus. Potentially resets the neutral. Force ball could work, but doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Flippy kick, not much better. Honestly, it's not the greatest thing in the world, even with the armor break. But here's the kicker. The second hit doesn't break armor. Why this is, I have no idea. Kung Lao has something similar, where his armor break, if it's amplified, if the armor break move is amplified, the amplify does not armor break. I don't understand why. I can't understand for the life of me why that's the case. But whatever reason they have, it just doesn't work. Johnny Cage has quite a few problems. His answers to armor shouldn't be one of those problems. And in fact, in one of my videos, he was one of my subjects of talking about better armor breaks. And there is a better one that was sitting right there, literally. Nut punch. Amplify for a crushing blow. Get that. You know what I mean? If you armor break and get nut punched for it, it should be a crushing blow. At the very least, it would also reset the neutral. So they can't delay wake up. But, yeah, Johnny Cage really got screwed here. And here's the thing. Minus 14 on block. And on amplify, block is minus 20! Minus 20! Liu Kang can throw a low fireball and punish Johnny Cage for it. It's ridiculous. And finally, let's talk Shadow Kick. And by the way, Flippy Kick is quasi-universal. There's a move that replaces this that ends up in one of his tournament variations. So, in one variation, he doesn't have an armor break in the first place. Anyways, Shadow Kick. 70 frame high, 11 frames, minus 23 on block. It's active for 11 frames. This should have had a crushing blow where, if it hits from maximum range, kind of like Jackie Briggs's. But on flawless block, minus 23. Minus 23 on block. Oh, good lord. And also, this is a high, so you can duck this thing. And, of course, if you duck the... Wait, is it? Yeah, he even lowers his sunglasses in that. I didn't notice that before. But if you just neutral duck it, whoop, uppercut punish. Okay, now let's talk about variation 1. Shock Jock. Shock Jock has a parry. The Mind Time parry. And this thing has a crushing blow. Its requirement is it has to be on the first hit of the match or after landing 2 extended Mind Times. Which means I have to parry something with extended... Which can't be Flying Dragon Kick? Really? It has to be a normal? I guess it has to be. There. Now the crushing blow is loaded. And what does this mean for you? Well, if you get the crushing blow, normally, you would do a lot more damage. But you can amplify it to launch. So you get a fairly high damaging launcher. I'll just do the normal version. $280. Not bad. But if I did this, I get a 280 launcher into combos for really nice damage. This is actually the bread and butter recipe for my best Lotus Fatal Blow combo with Johnny Cage. Next we have Brass Knuckles. Showtime. This doubles the... This does not seem to do much. It just makes a nice tinking sound. However, if the opponent is blocking, which we'll have him do... Let's see. Okay, it's doing 3 per. Now it's doing 6 per. So every blocked hit that involves Johnny Cage's fists... Oh, it's just period. it's doing more damage, and double damage, in fact. So, you can do something like this.
Showtime! Showtime!
And get away with pretty decent chip damage, actually. Especially when we consider the next attack, which this one does not have a crushing blow. Caged Rage. It's a 60 frame high with 29 frames. Why is this any good? The key is they have to block it. Now it's charged. And now it's doing more damage. It did 80 instead of 60. And now it's doing 20 damage. And if it is blocked 3 times in a row, it becomes unblockable. So combine this with Brass Knuckles. 35. 40, and then there you go. Now you're doing pretty decent chip damage, but remember, the biggest problem is that this is 29 frames and a high. The question is it a true high? Let's see. It is. It absolutely is, which means this is probably the reason why you never see Shock Jock Johnny Cage. A parry that can launch, pretty nice. Double chip damage, pretty good. Using this attack, not good. Time for the next variation. Showstopper. Oh, God. Okay. We'll start with the relatively easy one. I say relatively easy because this thing replaces the Nut Punch. Say Cheese is a 60 frame high that isn't really anything to write home about. You don't get anything out of it unless you amplify. Then you can get a combo going. Your opponent is actually left open pretty widely. Like, I can... What is my slowest... I forget, what is my slowest normal that isn't, like, Tearjerker? 14 frames or so? Oh, that one's 18 frames. So, if we do this, I get a combo, even if it's that. I could even take a picture with that, and that was 27 frames. And I think that is my slowest. So you can combo off just about anything. So we could do something like this. Oops.
Showtime.
See how easy that was? And that was amplified, so let's try this. Okay, too far. Too far. Try that. Oh. It doesn't seem to work. But we can do something like... The point is that we can do this and get decent damage out of it for 1 bar. So it functionally replaces the Nut Punch pretty well. Especially since, even though it's a high. Here's the thing. This is 2 Crushing Blows. And both of these Crushing Blows share the same requirement as the Nut Punch. Either on the first hit of the match, or their auxiliary requirement. The auxiliary requirement for this one, miss this attack 3 times in a row. Now it's loaded. And they're stunned for ages for decent damage. So let's pretend that I have this loaded. And look at that, I get pretty decent damage out of the deal. But you have to load this Crushing Blow first. Because, come on, are they seriously gonna let you get away with what is effectively a 30 frame high? No, not as a first hit. And speaking on that, we have Throwing Shades. A pseudo projectile that is active for quite a while. But here's the thing. This thing's crushing blow is utterly ridiculous. You have to either get this as first hit of the match, which is actually not a terrible thing, and then you have enough time to get a 30 frame move up, so you do this. Let's say you manage to get it. And then you get some sort of damage there. The other thing involves Johnny Cage's Fatal Blow gimmick, which is he can hold it. And like the Joker, he can hold it and cancel out of it. It doesn't spend the Fatal Blow, it just puts it on cooldown. So you can do, if you're actually good, see that? You have to get something like that going, which for me is really, really hard. So, see, I'll often either get Fatal Blow or mistime it, or I'm just not good at cancels of this nature. And furthermore, you have to remember that once you do it, and don't mess up the timing, you have to get this fucking thing. You have to get the sunglasses in there. You could get really good damage. Really good damage this way. I cannot do that. I'm not that good. This is one of the reasons why I was actively discouraged from playing Johnny Cage. I just can't do these Fatal Blow cancels to save my life, so I never bothered. Now let's talk about the final variation, Outtake. This is the only one that does not have the armor break, which kind of sucks because it's actually got some of the nastiest tricks in here. It doesn't have any new crushing blows, so Johnny Cage's crushing blow count isn't really modified. But here's the thing. Let's count how many crushing blows he has. He has 1, 2, 3, and that's it. He only has 3 crushing blows, 4 in variation 2, that you have to work with. Actually, I think he also has 4 in variation 1. Yeah, because of Mind Time. But still, he has 4 crushing blows. There are some characters in this game that have almost 7 or 8. It's ridiculous. Poor Johnny Cage, he got shafted in the crushing blow department in both quality and quantity. So let's talk about the last thing that is in this arsenal. Force balls, low and high. These are both mids, so they're pretty decent. Amplify them to get the opposite. But if you want the highs, higher lows to connect, you have to switch it up. So for instance, here's low force balls, normal amplify. Makes sense, it goes high. But if I hold back and amplify, I throw 2 lows instead. High force ball, exact opposite thing. High to mid, and then, of course, high. And then double high. To catch somebody who thinks that it's a good idea to be jumping. Like me in variation 3 with Devora. And that's it. There's nothing to write home about. I think I forgot to talk... Oh, I forgot to talk about the block data. Rule of thumb, I don't know exactly how unsafe they are. They're ridiculously unsafe, both the throwing the glasses and the camera. So don't fall for that shit. Straight up misses. And is neutral on block. Excellent. So remember to hold back to amplify your low force ball. Or just do a high force ball at really close range. That apparently connects really nicely. Still, 0. Not plus or minus in any way, shape, or form. Then we have Rising Star. This, I think, used to be 7 frames, but they nerfed it to 9. That I understand. It was just a little bit too fast. Amplify to get the overhead. And crash down. Here's the thing. Minus 14. Minus 5. So you have to amplify it, but I think there's a flawless block gap in there. Doesn't even... Oh. Okay, straight up doesn't let you amplify on flawless block. Really good to know. Let's try this. Actually, on second thought, I don't think there's a flawless block gap there. But, point is, it hurts. A lot. It hurts to get blocked by, to block this thing. If you're the Johnny Cage in there. Now let's finally talk about his Fatal Blow. The award goes to... You can on its own, it's 27 frames, one of the slowest in the game. However, the thing about this one is, as mentioned earlier, you can dash cancel it. Meaning that you can do something, dash cancel with the Fatal Blow, and perform a continuous combo without any meter required by using cancel frames. I'm terrible at this, but if you can figure that out, you're pretty well in the clear, because your dash cancels do not cost the Fatal Blow. So that's really good to know. You can also hold it down, making it 51 frames, which is easily the slowest in the game. It's mid, does pretty good damage. Nothing to write home about, really. Just make sure your opponent is grounded if you want to use this to close out a round, because there's a really good chance that if they're airborne, you're not going to catch them. So, I would recommend finding a way to keep them grounded or close to the ground, so or high enough in the ground that you can just catch them at 27 frames. That's a pretty weak example. I'm going to show you guys the Mime Time version, because the Mime Time version hits like a truck. And I'll see you guys on the other side. Don't forget to be awesome, and, well, hopefully you guys learned something about Johnny Cage. I know I did.